Subscribe before we start so you do not miss what happened next. This story is not about shouting, broken plates, or some big dramatic scene in the driveway. It is about silence, proof, and one Uber notification that opened my marriage like a cheap envelope. My name is Evan. I am 34. I work as a project manager at a tech firm in Denver. For most of my marriage, I honestly believed I understood my wife, Claire. We were together 5 years and married for 3. She was smart and driven. She was the kind of woman who remembered birthdays for people I barely knew and still managed to organize charity brunches like she had a personal assistant living in her brain. For a long time, we worked. We laughed a lot. We had inside jokes. We made plans for trips we kept pushing into the future. We talked about buying a bigger house one day, maybe having kids when the timing felt right, maybe moving closer to the mountains. I thought we were steady. Not perfect, but good. Then one night, she said she needed space. It started after a stupid fight. A small fight that should have ended with both of us cooling off and going to bed. Instead, it became the beginning of everything falling apart. It was a Thursday evening. I came home late from a product launch meeting. My brain felt fried. My tie was loosened halfway, like I was choking on responsibility. I remember stepping into the house and feeling like my whole body wanted to collapse into the couch and disappear. Claire had already been irritated all week. Not loud, irritated. Quiet, irritated. Cold replies. Short answers. A tight look around her mouth like she was holding in words she wanted to spit out. Her phone was always face down. When I walked near her, she would shift it slightly, like she was protecting it without thinking. I did not want to start anything. I just wanted peace. So I asked her how her day was. She sighed like I asked her to solve world hunger. That sigh flipped something in me. Not rage, but frustration. I was tired. I was trying. And I felt like nothing I did landed anymore. One thing led to another. I mentioned a promotion my boss had hinted at. It was not even official yet. Just a possibility, something that made me hopeful after months of stress. Claire exploded. It shocked me because it came out of nowhere. She told me I only cared about work. She said she felt invisible. She said she was lonely in her own marriage. She said I showed up physically, but never mentally. She said she could talk to me and still feel alone. I stood there stunned because for months I had been trying so hard to be present. I pushed back late emails. I suggested more date nights. I started coming home earlier when I could. I put my phone away during dinner. None of it seemed enough. Claire grabbed her jacket. She did not grab a purse. She did not grab her keys. She did not grab her phone charger. She moved like she had already decided the next part of the night. She told me she needed to walk and clear her mind. She said she would be back when she was ready. Then the door slammed. I expected her back within an hour. 2 at most. Even if she was mad, she always came back. That was our pattern. Cool off, return, pretend we were fine. Midnight came. Then 1 in the morning. I texted her. No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. I tried again, thinking maybe her phone died. Voicemail again. At 2 in the morning. She walked in like a ghost returning to its house. Quiet, careful steps, like she did not want to wake the floor. Her hair was messy. Her cheeks were flushed. And she smelled like a citrus perfume I did not recognize. It was sharp and warm at the same time, like orange peel, and something deeper underneath like sandalwood. It was not her usual scent. Claire had a clean, soft perfume she had worn for years. This was different. I asked where she had been. She said she walked around the park and then stopped at a cafe that was open late. Before I could ask anything else, she warned me not to interrogate her. So I swallowed my suspicion like a bitter pill. I nodded. I said okay. Not because I believed her, but because I loved her and I wanted peace. I wanted the fight to end. I wanted my marriage to feel normal again. The week after that felt normal enough to be unsettling. Claire laughed at shows again. She kissed my cheek in the kitchen. She asked me what I wanted for dinner. She even sent me a funny video during the day like she used to. But there was something strange about it. Her smile felt tight, like it was stitched on, like it did not rise naturally from her chest anymore, only from her face. She guarded her phone like it held nuclear codes. She took it into the shower. She turned off notifications. If I walked into the room, she would tilt the screen away. At dinner, she'd disappear to the bathroom for 10 minutes at a time and came back acting normal, like nothing happened. I knew something was wrong, but I needed proof. I was not going to accuse my wife based on gut feelings. That is not who I am. My father always told me never swing unless you know where you are hitting. I did not fully understand what he meant until later. 2 weeks after the fight, the moment everything cracked arrived. It was a quiet Sunday morning. The kind of morning where the sunlight makes the kitchen look calm, even if your life is not. I was making eggs. Coffee was brewing. I was scrolling through my phone, half awake. Then a notification popped up. Your Uber trip is completed. View receipt. I stared at it confused because I had not taken an Uber. Then I remembered something I had forgotten for months. Claire's Uber account was still linked to our shared family account from last year. We linked it when she lost her credit card once and needed to get home after a late work event. She used Uber rarely after that, so I never bothered to unlink it. I tapped the notification out of habit. The receipt loaded. Pickup was downtown at a place called Co-Work Hub. Drop-off was Sunrise Residence. Time was Friday at 11:46 p.m. Friday, the night she claimed she was walking around the park and then sitting at a cafe. Sunrise Residence was not a park. It was an upscale apartment complex near Union Station. I stared at the screen so long the eggs burned. My hand shook, but my mind felt strangely calm. Too calm. Like my body had accepted the truth before my brain finished reading it. I opened the trip map. The route was clean and straight. No detours. A direct drive late at night. That is not a walk. That is not a cafe. That is a ride to an apartment building. And then another detail hit me hard. That night, she left without her purse. So how did she order the Uber? Who ordered it? Whose phone did she use? The questions stacked up like bricks. I did not confront her. Not yet. I took a screenshot. Then another. Then I saved the receipt. Then I checked the trip history. There were 2 more rides during evenings over the past month. Claire had told me she was at yoga. Same drop-off point every time. Same building. Same lie, different wrapping. That day I barely spoke. Claire noticed. She asked if everything was okay. She leaned close, soft voice, the same voice she used when she wanted me calm. I told her I had work stress. She smiled gently, relieved. She was relieved that I was not asking questions. That relief told me more than any receipt. She did not know I knew. I spent the next few days quietly collecting proof. Not because I wanted to punish her. Because I needed reality. I needed something solid enough that my heart could not argue with it later. I knew myself. I knew that if I confronted her with only suspicion, she would cry, deny, twist, explain. I would doubt myself. I would want to believe her. I would let the moment dissolve. So I built a file of truth. I started with what I had. Uber receipts, screenshots, dates and times. Then I looked at our bank statements. 2 transactions stood out. Atrium Lounge, Sunrise Wine Shop. Both on nights she claimed she was alone, drinking tea, clearing her mind, taking space. The lie was getting expensive. I also noticed something else. A charge for a fancy parking garage downtown on one of the same nights. Claire rarely paid for parking because she hated driving downtown. But if she met someone, a man who lived near Union Station, parking would make sense. I kept my mouth shut. I kept acting normal. Claire moved around the house like the stage was hers. She hummed while watering plants. She chatted about work. She talked about her mom. She mentioned Christmas plans like our future was still a shared thing. She kissed me goodnight like she always had, but her lips felt distant, like she was practicing affection instead of feeling it. Every night, I waited for guilt in her eyes. Some crack, some tremble, something that said she remembered I was a human being. But she carried herself like nothing was wrong. Maybe she believed she deserved happiness elsewhere. Maybe she thought I would never find out. Maybe she did not care if I did. I kept collecting. I searched for Sunrise residents online. Public photos, resident reviews, building info. I learned it had a video intercom and security cameras in the lobby. High-end buildings love cameras. They love evidence. They love the illusion of safety. I have a friend in property management. Not a best friend. Not someone I talk to every day, but someone who owes me a favor from years ago. I did not ask him to do anything illegal. I did not break into systems. But I asked him if he knew anyone who worked in building maintenance networks and could help me confirm camera angles and public access clips. He connected me with someone who had access to a shared resident security portal from maintenance testing. These portals are supposed to be locked down, but like most things, the weak point is humans, not technology. People reuse passwords. People leave access open. People assume no one will look. With some effort and careful searching, I found a lobby clip. Thursday at 12:02 a.m. The lobby door opened. Claire walked in with a man. He was tall, dark hair, confident posture. His hand rested on her lower back like he owned her. She laughed. Not nervous laughter. Real laughter. The footage was low quality, grainy, but unmistakable. It was my wife. It was not yoga. It was not a park. It was not a cafe. It was her entering an apartment building with another man at midnight. That night, I lay beside her in bed while a movie played on the TV, a movie neither of us watched. Claire breathed softly, calm, like nothing was wrong in her world. I stared at the ceiling and felt something strange settle in me. Not rage. Clarity. I was not going to scream. I was not going to beg. I was going to let the truth speak for itself. And when it spoke, she would not be able to look away. I did not rush. I let normal life continue like a stage play where only I knew the script. Claire chatted about her day. She asked what I wanted for dinner. She sent me grocery lists. She told me about her co-workers' drama. She posted smiling photos online like she lived inside a perfect life. And every time she looked at me, I wondered how she could do it. How she could kiss me goodnight and then go visit another man and still come home and act like I was the problem for wanting connection. On Tuesday, she told me she was having dinner with the girls. I nodded. I told her to have fun. After she left, I opened my laptop. I created a folder. I named it Thursday. Inside, I put the Uber receipt and screenshots. I created another folder. I named it Walk. Inside, I put the lobby clip. I created a third folder. I named it Money. Inside, I put bank statements with highlighted charges. I also saved a note, a simple timeline, dates, times, what she told me, what the evidence showed. Because lies are easier to fight when you write them down. Then I did something that felt like stepping outside my own body. I went to Sunrise residence myself. Midweek, around 7 in the evening. The lobby was warm and bright. It smelled like expensive cleaning products and quiet ambition. There was a front desk and a receptionist with a polished smile. There were couches nobody sits on. There was art that looked expensive, but empty. I walked in like I belonged there. I asked if I could leave flowers for a resident. I played the polite husband. Calm voice. Friendly posture. I used a name I had found by zooming into a mailbox label in the footage. Liam Fletcher. The receptionist smiled and buzzed me in without questions. Security in these places is expensive, but trust is cheap. People assume good intentions if you look calm and speak politely. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. I found apartment 3B. The same door frame. The same potted snake plant from a clip. The same hallway lighting. I stood there for a full minute staring at the door, thinking about knocking. I imagined the door opening. I imagined seeing his face. I imagined seeing my wife behind him, surprised, angry, ashamed. But I did not knock. I was not ready for a confrontation. I did not want to do something messy that I would regret. I did not want to become the villain in my own life. I only needed to see it as real. A door that held my marriage's secret on the other side. I took a picture of the door and left. Back home, I cooked dinner. Pasta with mushrooms, her favorite. When Claire walked in later, her cheeks were flushed like she had been somewhere warm and happy. She kissed my cheek lightly, as if affection was a habit, not a choice. I asked how dinner with the girls went. She said it was nice, lots of gossip, nothing I would care about. She talked quickly, like she wanted to drop the words and move past them. I smiled and served her a plate. She did not notice I was studying her eyes like evidence. Wednesday night, we watched a movie together. She leaned against me like old times. I tried to feel anger, betrayal, heartbreak, but all I felt was distance. Like she was a memory I was still holding, not a wife sitting next to me. She fell asleep on my shoulder. I looked at her face, peaceful, trusting, and wondered when she had stopped choosing me. Then Friday arrived. My friend Mark from college invited us to dinner with a few other couples. It was a small celebration for his wife's promotion. Claire lit up at the idea. Claire loved dinners, photos, social gatherings where she could be admired. She loved moments where she looked perfect and people noticed. She wore a black dress I had never seen before. Elegant, fitted at the waist. The kind of dress that makes a woman look like a headline. She asked if she looked okay. I told her she looked beautiful. It was true. Beauty was not the problem. Before we left, I slipped a small flash drive into my coat pocket. On it, I had the lobby video, screenshots of the Uber rides, bank records, and the photo of apartment 3B. Not copies. Original files. Original timestamps. The kind of proof that stands up even if someone tries to argue. I wanted one clean strike, not a long war. I was not planning violence. I was not trying to entertain people. I wanted clarity. A mirror moment. A moment that changes the shape of your life forever. At the restaurant, everything looked warm and perfect. Golden light. Clinking glasses. Soft jazz. Laughter. Claire was in her element. She told stories. She smiled wide. She touched my arm in the right moments, like she knew exactly how to perform a happy marriage. She seemed alive in a way she had not been with me in months. I watched her and felt something painful and strange. How do you love someone who is already gone? When the waiter came for orders, Claire joked with him, called him friendly names, made the table laugh. She tossed her hair under the chandelier, glowing like she belonged in that light. For 1 second, I wondered if I should let it go. Pretend. Stay. Live in a comfortable lie. But the thought tasted like poison. When drinks arrived, Mark raised his glass. He toasted to new chapters. Claire tapped her glass against mine, eyes shining. She added a toast to us, like we were a perfect couple. The irony almost made me choke. Phones came out. Photos. Videos. Everyone capturing the moment. Claire leaned closer to me, so it looked perfect on camera. It did look perfect, but perfection is a photograph, not a marriage. I excused myself soon after. Quietly, calmly. I walked to the bar and found the waiter I had spoken to earlier. I had arranged it with him privately, not by making a scene, just by asking for a specific favor. I told him it was part of a surprise presentation. I tipped him well. Money does not buy love, but it can buy cooperation in the right moment. He nodded when he saw me. I handed him the flash drive. I told him to play the video first, then the photos. No sound needed. He took it with a single blink of understanding. I returned to the table. Claire laughed at something another woman said, completely unaware that her entire world balanced on a file no bigger than my thumb. I sat down and looked at her, really looked, and something inside me settled. No screaming, no begging, just truth waiting backstage. 10 minutes later, the restaurant lights dimmed slightly as the projector screen near the bar flickered on. People assumed it was a slideshow for the promotion celebration. Claire kept talking, smiling, confident. I folded my hands in my lap and waited. Because when truth rises, you do not have to push it. You only have to let it surface. The first frame appeared. A pause video showing a lobby door. People murmured lightly, still eating, still unaware. Claire continued her story about a client who forgot to sign a contract. Then the video played. A timestamp glowed in the corner. Friday at 11:52 p.m. Rain outside. The same night, Claire claimed she was walking alone in the park. The lobby door opened. Claire stepped inside wearing her tan coat. Hair tied up, laughing. A man stepped beside her. Too close for strangers. His hand rested on her lower back in a way that was familiar, practiced, possessive. They pressed the elevator button. They got in together. The elevator doors closed. At first, the table did not react. Everyone stared, confused, waiting for context. Then Claire froze mid-laugh. The color drained from her face like someone pulled the plug on her blood. Her eyes flicked to the screen, then to me. The room around us softened into a hush. Forks hung in midair. Glasses paused halfway to mouths. The projector changed to screenshots. An Uber receipt. Drop-off at Sunrise Residence. Then another receipt. Then another. Each one tied to a night she had yoga, or dinner, or needed space. Whispers spread like smoke. Someone gasped softly. Mark's wife stared down at her plate like she wanted to disappear. Someone muttered a quiet word that sounded like shock and pity mixed together, but I did not speak. I did not look angry. I looked calm, and that terrified Claire more than shouting ever could. Her hand gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. She whispered my name and begged me to turn it off. She asked if we could talk privately. The irony tightened my chest. She had lived privately with someone else. Public truth was simply balance returning. The next slide appeared. A photo of the apartment door point 3B. Then a cropped still frame of Claire stepping into that same doorway with the same man, his arm around her waist. A collective silence hung heavy. Mark stared at his plate, unable to look at either of us. His wife lifted her glass like she suddenly needed something stronger than wine. Claire shook her head repeatedly. She said it was not what it looked like. That line, the classic line, the line every betrayed spouse hears like a bad script. She said she could explain. She said she was going through a lot mentally. She said he was just a friend who helped her through a hard time. A friend. I finally spoke. Not loudly. Not bitterly. Just clearly. I asked if she took Uber to her friend's apartment 3 times last month. Claire opened her mouth, then shut it. She tried again. Nothing came out. Her eyes darted around, searching for an exit that did not exist. She reached for my hand across the table. Maybe out of reflex. Maybe to perform remorse. I did not move. Her fingers stopped halfway and curled back in her palm like a flower dying. The waiter turned off the projector. The lights returned to normal brightness. But the room felt darker somehow, like the air itself understood what happened. Claire leaned toward me and whispered that we should go home, that we could fix it, that she made a mistake. Her voice cracked so hard the sentence broke in the middle. She looked smaller now, not the confident social queen from 10 minutes earlier, just a woman caught in her own lies. I stood up slowly. I placed my napkin on the plate. I told her it was already done. I told her the only thing left now was paperwork. I told her she could talk to my lawyer on Monday. Claire grabbed my sleeve, panic in her eyes. She begged me not to leave like this. I gently removed her fingers from my arm. People watched without blinking. Some looked sad. Some looked curious. Some looked like they recognized the moment because they had lived it before. Pain in public is magnetic. I nodded to Mark, a small apology for hijacking his celebration. He looked torn but supportive. He told me to take care. His wife leaned toward Claire and whispered something I did not catch, but the shape of it looked like you really messed up. I did not look back to confirm. I walked out into the crisp night air. It felt too cold for April, but perfect for clarity. Claire ran out after me, heels clicking fast like panic. She called my name. She told me to wait. I stopped on the sidewalk. Not because I wanted to hear excuses, but because I needed to finish the moment for myself. Claire stood in front of me, breath visible, mascara trembling on her lashes. She said she was not happy. She said she felt alone. She said he made her feel wanted, but she did not want to lose me. She said she was confused. I listened, not to forgive, to understand. I asked why she did not talk to me. She looked down. She said she was afraid I would leave. The logic twisted like a knife. She betrayed me because she feared losing me. Then she lost me because she betrayed me. I did not scream. I did not insult her. I stepped back and told her she already made her choice, and now I was making mine. She reached out again, but her fingers touched only air because I turned and walked away. I got into my car. In a rearview mirror, she stood alone on the sidewalk, arms wrapped around herself like a child in a cold playground. For a moment, I thought about driving back and comforting her. Then I remembered the lobby footage, the receipts, the way she looked alive when she was lying to my face, the scent of someone else on her skin, the weeks of doubt eating me from the inside. Compassion turned into resolve. I drove home alone, but lighter than I'd felt in months. The house was quiet when I returned. Not the tense quiet of 2 people avoiding each other. The clean quiet of truth finally spoken. I sat in the living room with the lights off. Street lamps painted long stripes across the floor. For the first time in months, my chest did not feel tight. It did not feel whole either. It felt like a wound that finally stopped bleeding. I slept on the couch that night. Not because I had to, because I needed to claim a space for myself, even if it was only a corner of my own home. Claire came home hours later. I heard the key turn slowly in the lock like she hoped it would not make a sound. She stepped inside without her heels moving softly. She stood in the doorway of the living room, thinking I was asleep. She watched me for a long time. Maybe she wanted to speak. Maybe she finally understood the weight of what she had done. But she said nothing. She walked upstairs alone. The old US would have talked until sunrise, even through fights. Now silence was all we shared. The next morning, she sat at the dining table, eyes swollen, coffee untouched. She asked I not to repair, to close. She said she did not intend for it to become an affair. She said she felt lonely. She said our fights made her feel unheard. She cried and said she regretted everything. I believe parts of it. But regret after exposure is different from regret before. One is shame. The other is conscience. I was not interested in guessing which one she had. We divided our lives slowly over the next weeks. Clothes, furniture, accounts, passwords, bills. I hired an attorney. She hired one too. There was no screaming match, no dramatic showdown, just paperwork and grief that sat quietly in the corners of the house. Friends took sides softly without naming it. Some stopped calling me because it was easier. Some checked in like they were afraid I might collapse. Some tried to stay neutral, but neutrality in betrayal often looks like distance. Claire's mother called me crying. She apologized for her daughter. I told her it was not her burden to carry. But the truth was, the damage was already done. Claire asked for counseling. Once. Then again. Then she stopped asking. I think she understood my silence more clearly than words. One evening, she came by to pack the rest of her things. She moved carefully through the house like it was a museum of memories we no longer own together. She paused near a framed photo in the hallway. Us on our wedding day, smiling like the world could not touch us. Her fingers hovered over the frame. She did not take it. I did not either. It stayed on the wall like a gravestone. When she left with her final box, she stood in the doorway. Eyes glossy, voice quiet. She said she never wanted to hurt me. I told her I knew. I told her wanting and doing are different currencies. She nodded and walked away. I closed the door. I did not lock it immediately. I stood there with my hand on the handle, breathing in the ghost of our life. Then I turned the bolt. The sound felt like the end of something, and also the start of something new. The divorce finalized 2 months later. No children made it cleaner on paper. Still painful, but clean. People assume closure is an explosion or a grand gesture. Mine came gradually, like sunrise. You only notice it after the room is already bright. I started going to the gym again, not to punish myself, but to remind myself I still had a body and a life. I joined a hiking group. I took weekend trips alone, something I had not done in years because Claire disliked spontaneous plans. I learned to cook more than pasta. I bought a new sofa. I repainted the bedroom. Piece by piece, the house became mine instead of ours. Calm instead of tense. One Saturday, long after everything settled, I returned to that same restaurant for dinner with Mark. Same warm lights. Same jazz. Same feeling of people laughing around tables like life was simple. The projector screen was dark now. No video. No evidence. Just life continuing. Mark looked at me for a long moment and said I looked lighter. I smiled because he was right. I felt like someone who survived a storm, not someone still drowning in it. When we left, a car pulled up to the curb. Uber logo glowing on the windshield. For a moment, my chest tightened. Memory is strange like that. It jumps without permission. But instead of pain, I felt clarity. A ride is not evidence anymore. It is just a ride. The door opened. A couple climbed in laughing. The car drove away, taillights fading into the night like the last frame of a chapter one no longer lived inside. Later, walking home alone through quiet streets, I passed the park Claire claimed she used to clear her mind. Lanterns glowed softly. Leaves rustled overhead. Maybe she really did walk there once. Maybe she meant it in her own broken way. I do not know. Why to know is this? Trust is not repaired by explanations. Trust is repaired by actions. And her actions had already written the ending before I ever pressed play on a projector. The Uber receipt did not break us. It only confirmed what had already died. Healing came not from exposing her. Healing came from choosing myself afterward. Now, when people ask what happened, I do not give them a dramatic version. I tell them a truth. We fell apart long before evidence surfaced. The notification did not destroy my marriage. It revealed the truth. And after that, I finally built a life around someone I can trust. Me.